Hey guys, and welcome to episode 95, I believe. This is a pretty cool episode because I actually got some stuff done, and I was really positively surprised at the moment at how this actually worked out. Like, before I did this, I didn't do this in a stream. I decided last couple of streams didn't really work out. It was all fun and games, but didn't really get too much good stuff done. And I really needed to move on and work towards actually finishing this Dutch area, so I made a couple of really simple custom scenery pieces. Like, it was nothing whatsoever, it took barely any time, really simple stuff, but it actually helped out a great deal on making this station. The first one being a very simple cornerstone that was just sort of made for the front facade, since the other cornerstones from the Ralphie set didn't really work out too well. They were pretty damn large. And the other pieces were just to create these ironwork arches, and that's basically the entire idea of this station. Like I've mentioned before, it's a typical Dutch station, although I did get some recommendations for other Dutch stations, but I feel like this is the most recognizable sort of form. There are obviously many different sorts of stations that you can do, but there was one architect, I completely forgot his name, I'm very sorry about that, but yeah, he made stations which would usually feature this style. I think he even designed the museum in Amsterdam, but it's that same sort of pediment with two towers style. But I also really wanted to have some of that classical train station, ironworks and glass, behind that for the station itself, which is quite a common thing. Really, I've seen it in many German stations as well. And it does also have a bit of a steampunk/Victorian feel to it, and I really just wanted to get that in. Only problem is there aren't really any sort of objects using which you can do that very well. I was considering maybe using Mobi's, but Mobi's I mean, I'm talking about Mobi's, but I mean Vodheen's. I was very stupid. He does have that one set, which has, I think it's called Girders and Glass, which does have round glass pieces, using which you could build a similar sort of thing, but it really doesn't have the same sort of arch, since I really wanted a subtle arch that didn't rise too much. Just about 1h spread over 2 tiles was the height that I was looking for, so I had to get that made, because as far as I know, there isn't really anything like that. But even though they're really, really simple pieces with really simple textures as well, it really did work out very well in the end. So that's really awesome, but that does mean though that at the moment you can't really recreate the train station in the way that it is currently. The park still needs to be finished for that, and I still need to release the custom sceneries for that, so I'm sorry about that. But I suppose if you really want to have them, I could upload a current version of the set, but I don't know how good that would be. There's no thumbnails, there's barely any pieces in it, and it's pretty terrible at the moment, so yeah, that's probably gonna have to wait until some other time. But yeah, the basic idea over here was just to get the simple ironwork framework done before I moved on to the other things. This is obviously going to have that glass roof again in the end. It's just much easier, especially if you have these framework roofs, so this works with ironworks, but also with the Polynesian sort of theme. It's very good to just build the frame first, be able to see what you're going to do in the interior, and then put the roof on later. Just, it's not that important, but it kind of helps in building things. So that's why I decided to do this like this. Also, I did want to do quite a bit of... It's not really interior, since it's still sort of inside. It's still sort of... I mean, it's still sort of outside. It's not completely inside a building, but I did want to get some interior-ish things on this little station. Some little benches, lights of course, which these hanging baskets don't exactly fit, but I feel like they're good enough. Might also want to make something for that, but I think it's just about acceptable. They just have a bit of a very awkward placement over there, like if they were moved, say 10 centimeters to the right or the left, that would have been even better, but oh well, there's not much that you can do about that. Honestly, I still need to finish that pediment as well, still need to get some sort of good window for that, and I don't know how many pieces I really want to make for this thing, because so far it has sort of worked out, but there's too much unreleased custom scenery in this building, and I'm not really a big fan of that. But yeah, in any case, this is going to be a pretty sort of very simple and standard train station with just 2 rails going through it. I think that the other side of it would be for the English area. Not entirely sure how I would even make that work, since usually these theme park trains would just have 1 rail even in the station. But it looks good to have this other rail, and it might also be good to add a tiny connection around the back that would give you like a fast connection into the English area without having to walk around this entire building and cross the rail itself. So might want to do that, though I'm not really sure yet how I'm going to do that. And this, by the way, was just a tiny bit of work. I just figured, hey, I can get some of these details in. Just opening, you know, sometimes you really have that. You just open a custom scenery set and you feel like, there's actually some good pieces in here that I could use for this in this area, and that's just sort of how I felt about that. It did have some of those rope pieces, and since I did have those hanging ropes on top of all the gables in the Dutch area, that just seemed like the perfect fit that I could fit in there, which it was, I have to say. That was really good. So I was pretty happy to get that in. And really, other than this, I don't think there really was anything else to the train station. Yeah, the glass roof, but other than that, it's pretty simple. Though I do have to say that at this point in time, I still haven't finished the interior details on the side of the entrance with the two towers, which is still very empty, just walls and nothing else at the moment. I mean, I could use some nice lights and benches and maybe a ticket booth on the side, even if it's just for show. It would be pretty nice, but that's something I'm gonna have to get into later. But yeah, that is pretty much the station itself finished, I think. Yeah, I just wanted to have these small buildings on the side. I think the station in The Hague has this. The station in Amsterdam has much larger wings, but this station is definitely not going to be as large. That was a bit of a scale problem if I wanted to do this right, because the usual station is quite a bit larger than just this. So it is a bit of a miniature version of its real-life counterparts, but for being that, I suppose it works out alright. I'm not going to complain about this because I've been complaining about my own things for too many times. Though I would like to probably say something about that. I like to find a balance between not being happy about what you've built and looking back at what you've built and being happy about it. Which sounds very vague. I'm going to try to sort of explain that. Whenever you build something, you know, you can go two ways in the way that you feel it. At least feel about it. At least two extreme ways. It can always be balanced, which is what would be best. But if you don't feel too good about something that you've built, you're motivated to change it for the better, improve it, and improve your skills on building overall. Which is something that I would always try to do. Like, you should not ever be happy about everything that you've ever built. Like, it's always good to look at what you've built and feel like there is room for improvement, and not just be like, hey, that's good, I built good things and let's move on, since that's basically how you improve. But then again, I don't think there really is any point to doing all of this other than looking back at what you've built and being happy about what you've built, because that's also part of the fun, being able to look back at your stuff and just have fun looking back at it. So that's also something that I would definitely want to have. So I always try to find the balance between being happy about some things and being able to look back at them and enjoy it, but also think about some things which I'm not too certain about and see if there's any way to improve them, which might come off as annoying in my videos. I'm sorry about that, but I really just... It's not even that much of a perfectionistic tendency. I just really want to find room for improvement wherever I go, since you can never be perfect at anything. So yeah, that's pretty much that, though. That being said, if you're too perfectionistic, you're gonna go on building stuff forever, so that's also not a good idea. This was the little exit, or entrance, whatever you will. It goes both ways, of the England area, but still not too sure what I can even add in that. And at that point, I figured that this area needed more life. Not much more, since I only added a couple of simple flower boxes and some simple signs. It's really not that much yet. It's just really hard to make this area look alive. I really need more signs, maybe cool curtains behind the windows, but that's going to be a tiny bit harder to do, and things like that. And just getting those signs of life is pretty damn hard to make it work. Might want to get more hanging baskets in and stuff, because if nothing works, then foliage is always an amazing way to make things look alive. At least that's how I always like to look at it. Plus, these buildings are still somewhat unfinished. You can still see some doors with glass windows in them. Don't worry, they will be removed at some point in the future and replaced with doors that don't show the brick wall behind the doors, because that's very awkward. Speaking of awkward, the flags didn't really work out there, so I figured I would have a flag on that main little square, give that square a bit of a use as well. But that's that's a tiny bit off topic. It's just that the buildings itself, they have that door, there's also the side walls that I still need to finish, and of course the extra details. In any case, I see that I'm running out of time, so yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and see you, Space Cowboys.